Truly delighted to have you on Richard Mwenja Exclusive, the only point of call on matters political and governance analysis. Today we have a raft of conversations to bring home here on our edition. But first things first, allow me to introduce the gentleman who's our analyst for the day and our resident analyst for that case, Herman Manyora. Prof, great to see you. You're doing well?
Very well.
Very well.
Yes.
You've advised this country many times, and out of which former DP Rigathi Gachagua takes concern with just how much the magnitude of advisors one person should have, and more particularly the president. DP Rigathi Gachagua says the president is suffering from having too many advisors whom he himself advises. Would you say Rigathi is speaking truth to power in this case?
Of course he's trying to speak truth to power. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What danger lies in having too many advisors?
Then they are not, they say too many cooks what? Spoil
the broth.
Yeah. Then first of all, assuming you thought they can work, mm-hmm. then there will be too much overlap. Mm-hmm. That means you can't work with that kind of overlap. Mm-hmm. Secondly, it means you usurp the duties of other officers. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
but they may end up now doing the work of principal secretaries mm-hmm. of individual state departments. Mm-hmm. So advisors are just advisors. And by the way, is the president who said he wanted to reduce.
Yeah.
Me, I have no problem with them being even 1,000. But what are they delivering? That's a dumping ground for people who have lost favor mm-hmm. and yet cannot just be tossed into the sea. Is it like some ambassadorial posting where unanyang'anywa ministry unatupa postings juu where some in country where no hata hakuna budget huko 6 months hakuna mshahara embassy,
a dumping ground for rejects.
Yeah, for rejects. So equally we have seen in the recent past you remove Moses Kuria, you dump him as advisor, you remove Owalo, and the game continues on and on. So it's really not the number of advisors. Mm-hmm. It's the president who brought up the issue of reducing them.
Austerity measures.
But to me, it's not a number of advisors. It's what are they doing? Even 1,000 to me is not a problem. But what value are they adding?
Prof, they argue actually that great institutions are born out of great traditions. And if you go back in time, even in the times of kings and queens, they were surrounded by many advisors around them. Why do you find it a different setup today to have such an arrangement?
I have no problem, I've said. I have no problem with the number of advisors. But you see, these are not advisors.
For the
these are just busybodies given a lifeline. Mm-hmm. Because you have been swaggering around and telling people you are very important PS and writing stupid memos to people mm-hmm. and giving stupid instructions, for example. So now, instead of being let loose into the streets for people spit on you, you are given some chair somewhere in some office as an advisor with no intention of you advising anybody. And the person to be advised himself is under does not have any intention whatsoever for anybody to sit down with him in the name of advising him. That's what is the problem. I have no problem with advisors. I don't even have a problem with how many they are. Mm-hmm. There are so many things you need to deal with in this country. Mm-hmm. Actually, the president can have as many advisors as he needs, so long as mm-hmm. they are going to bring about change, mm-hmm. positive change. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But seemingly for the Kenyan case, you've already concluded that for us, it's a case of too many advisors being an admission of failure.
Yeah, that's where the problem is. Tragedy, actually.
A tragedy, actually.
It's not even a problem, it's a tragedy. Because, I mean, they are not adding any value. Mm-hmm. They're just draining the resources we have.
Mm-hmm. Let us actually question the justification behind appointments, even to these advisory roles, diplomatic roles. Would you say that even for some cases, it's more of us giving ethnic trophies? I appoint Matiang'i because I want to appease the people of Kisii, in return get the Kisii votes in the nearby elections. Are these ethnic trophies?
Of course. Those are the cheap parochial considerations. But then mm-hmm. we should be lucky because mm-hmm. that was the case during Kenyatta's time. Mm-hmm. Jomo Kenyatta.
Did it work?
That was the case. I want to make my point. Mm-hmm. That was the case during Moi's time. But today, even formerly backwards communities,
primitive,
If you want to use it, that's your problem. They have people. So the challenge Moi had, if he needed his people to be in places, it was not easy to get qualified people, perhaps, or Jomo Kenyatta, if you wanted to appease the Turkana. Maybe there wasn't a Turkana or a Pokot. And if there was, maybe just one or two. Today, tell me one community where you can't get an expert. Just one community. Name one. There's none. So you can still play your tribal appointments, continue with your tribal appointments, give tribal consideration in appointments and so on and so forth. But within that particular tribe you want to favor with an appointment, you won't miss a capable person. So it's easy for them. Mm-hmm. So why do they find it difficult? That you are allowed to be primitive, backward, and they use tribal consideration in your appointments because you are looking at the next election. So we can allow you to be that cheap. But within that tribe, why don't you look for somebody who is qualified? Because they are there.
A capable man and woman.
They are there. If you want a woman, you'll get. If you want a man, you want a young man, old man, they are all there. There isn't a community without experts, professionals.
Even the marginalized ones.
There is none. See, me, I teach at the university and I know.
Let's advance this conversation, Prof, and perhaps question the architecture of our political parties and how that affects our democracy as a country. Would you say that this far, even in the build-up of our political formations and political parties, oftentimes it's more of a collection of tribes, not really about ideologies as most of us would want to believe?
Certainly you see the tribe in that. But again, on the positive note, you must see the tribe as some ethnicity. Okay? And ethnicity is what is used to organize politics. The only thing is that we are still at the primitive level again, if we may be excused for using that word, where the ethnicity we have is tribe. In other places, including America, they have the different ethnicities, which really are called demographies. So the only demography we have here for organizing our politics is tribe. Other people have other demographies. And it's a question of time, and we shall grow other demographies. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Prof, former DP Rigathi Gachagua has castigated Raila Odinga as one who has abandoned the Gusii community. Gachagua argues that when they formed this broad-based government, Raila was awarded 4 CS slots, but he never granted even one to the Gusii community, yet they've supported him for all this while. Is this kind of political capital one that is sustainable for a future of politics, or that statement by Gachagua is unfortunate in the first place?
You know, politics is just like a game of tennis or volleyball, where when the ball is brought for you, you don't just hit it to go the other side. You see where there's a weak person, that's where you direct it. A weak player, or where there's nobody, it lands down.
You serve him.
So that's what Gachagua is doing. He has seen something out of, actually, what are they for?
Yeah.
There is Mbadi, there is Opio and I, the Dorcas and the Oparanya.
A school.
There is, Then there is, of course, then the Turkana lady and so on and so forth. There are actually 6.
6, yeah.
If you are looking at, there's a Joho and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
There are 6. Said, Allah, if we had 2 for Nyanza, he has given 3 to Nyanza. Out of the 3, he couldn't take 1. Say the one who Opio and I.
Yeah.
Mbona hakupatia Mukisi? That's how politicians work. You see an opening, you use it. So Gachagua looked and saw an opening. Yeah. No, I had not thought about it that way. Now that he has said, it makes some sense.
How hard of a punch is that towards the political stage of Raila Odinga? A big dent?
It is bad because if, for example, assuming Matiang'i decides, I'm better off with my World Bank job, let me continue. This is nonsense. Let me go back to Washington. So he's not running and Maraga is not a serious candidate. And then Raila is running. He would want to count on the Abagusi. They would not listen to him.
The skeletons are exposed.
Yeah, they will not listen to you. The kisses will tell Simbarat, go ahead, go to hell with your Raila. That's how bad it will be. And somebody else will benefit. Yeah, that's how it is. Because it's of no consequence. If Matiang'i is running, that doesn't help anybody. The kisses, anyway, even if you had given them 3, they will still not think of Raila. They will think of Matiang'i. But in a situation where Matiang'i decides he's not running, then, and Raila is running, then he cannot count on Kisi votes. Yes, Gachagua has destroyed him. Yeah.
Moving on swiftly, Prof, and very finally, DAP Kenya party leader Eugene Wamalwa has come for the revelations that plans are underway for President William Ruto to front a youthful candidate, just so to disrupt the votes that otherwise will have gone to the opposition in 2027. We are talking about Kasmuel Makoure, Morara Kebaso and such. Do you think that such a plan could be underway? Can President Ruto field a candidate just so to disrupt the votes of the opposition?
He can, but with what impact? Kasamuel kijana mzuri sana. Morara, but hawa ni mboga gani hiyo?
Mbele ya Wamunyoro ni mboga.
Aish, come on. What can they get? They cannot even get 500 votes. Si wauliza watu ambao wamejaribu kurun for president. The president is not a beehive where bees just go in and out. The president is even of a poor dirty third world country like Kenya. It's not a small thing.
The injections are not enough?
What are you injecting? Go and train to be a nurse and go and work in Australia to inject patients.
Exposing government rot, Morara Kebaso.
Nobody listens to such things. That's entertainment.
And it ends at that?
Yeah.
But that could be a possibility. It could be in the works.
He can do that and more and more. But I'm saying, for this one of Kinaka Samuel and Morara Kebaso, it's a waste of time.
But don't you think this brings forth perhaps the impression that probably Eugene Wamalwa formation is already harboring fears of losing?
Losing?
The election, perhaps why they are voicing such concerns?
No. Just everybody is trying to say something. But if I were Eugene Wamalwa, why would I talk about such a thing? Why are you mentioning people who are neither here nor there? You can talk of somebody like Okiya Mtata. Morara Kebaso is a good young man. It's my son, and he's doing well. But for future.
Not now.
Not now.
There you have it from the firebrand himself, Professor Herman Manyora, our resident analyst here on the channel. We discussed a raft of issues in Kenya's political and governance landscape. We wait to see you on our next edition with Jadiel Kabir Evans of Kenya and yours truly. Until we get to do this again, do enjoy the rest of your viewing.